After a week break, we have arrived at the Yas Marina circuit on the Yas Island in the United Arab Emirates for the running of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the final race of the season, where both World Championships will be decided this week. Coming into this week, along with the title decider being a talking point, the final 7 seats for 2023 have finally been confirmed. So without any hold-ups, because this is going to be a lengthy one, let's get on with it. Starting off strong, the first team news of the day comes from Mercedes, as after a lot of speculation with it going right to the end, they have announced that the person who will be replacing Franco Lopez at the team next season will be Chinese Grand Prix winner and 2019 BTCC champion, Jesus Perinen. Jesus has had a frustrating 2022 season, despite taking his first ever win this season. He currently lies 8th in the Drivers' Championship, 1 point behind both Bartosz Klos and Miklos Gau, and his current team Renault have secured 3rd in the Constructors, as a result of being 49 points ahead of Haas. Despite taking his first ever victory at China earlier in the season, Jesus has endured a frustrating season similar to that of what his former teammate Evan Byrne had last season with Renault, with a lot of mechanical failures costing him a lot of points. However, one thing that hasn't been lost was his raw speed, as apart from his victory in China, he's also at times unsettled the top 2 teams, and like with current teammate Quark, has at times given them a run for their money. Jesus will be delighted to know that he'll be joining the German manufacturer next season, and he'll be looking to challenge for his first world title. He will partner alongside Amar Kar, who as a result of missing out on a Red Bull seat, will remain with the team for another season. The second team news of the day comes from McLaren, as after just missing out on a Mercedes drive, they have announced that 2-time world champion Joseph Willows will remain with the team for the 3rd successive season. Joseph, like with Jesus, has enjoyed a frustrating season in 2022 in McLaren's first season with BMW power. He currently lies 19th in the Drivers' Championship, tied with current Aston Martin driver Johannes Martins, and his team McLaren lie 8th in the Constructors, 7 points ahead of Alfa Romeo. Along with the car taking a huge step back this season, Joseph has suffered from a lot of mechanical issues, whether that be engine or car related, and he has also been involved in accidents which on most occasions have not been his fault. Joseph, whilst gutted to miss out on the Mercedes drive, will be happy to know that he'll still be on the grid next season, and he'll be hoping to have a better season in 2023. As for 2022 F2 champion Wojtek Kulizec, it's bad news for him, as a result of Willows being retained and due to the tough competition, he will sadly not be on the top class grid in 2023. It's also bad news for David Kupok, as despite getting a podium last time out at Balcarce, he has sadly been left without a drive for 2023. The third team news of the day comes from the returning Toyota team, as with Jesus Perinen being confirmed at Mercedes, they have announced after a lot of speculation that the person who will partner alongside Franco Lopez next season will be 2017 DTM champion and World Champ Car Championship contender Gabriel Gomez. Gabriel has had an amazing season in 2022, despite only achieving 1 win this season. He finished 3rd in the World Champ Car Championship, just missing out on the title to Julius Anderson, and his team Andretti missed out on the team's title by 10 points to Pyramid Racing. Despite only achieving 1 win this season, Gabriel has been super consistent throughout the season, which in turn put him in the hunt for the World Champ Car title, which he took to the last race at Suzuka. His raw speed throughout the season was enough to convince Toyota to sign him back to the top class for 2023. Gabriel will be happy to be back in the top class for a 3rd term, and he'll be looking to have a great return to the top class and hopes to help Toyota in their development in their first season back. The fourth team news of the day comes from Aston Martin, as after a lot of speculations and unknowns surrounding the second C, they have announced that 2019 Formula E runner-up and 2-time Feeder Series winner Jose Federic Stuto will make his top-class debut with the team in 2023. Joseph has had a decent 2022 season in a very close and competitive field. He finished 8th in the F2 Championship, missing out on 3rd by 25 points, and his team Charouz finished 6th in the Teams Championship, 8 points behind MP Motorsport. Going into the final race of the F2 season, Joseph had a chance of grabbing 3rd in the Drivers' Championship. However, after missing out on the points due to a load of overtakes throughout the race, he was unable to achieve this. However, despite this, he did enough to convince Aston of giving him a drive in 2023 after 3 seasons in the Feeder Series. Joseph will be over the moon to know that he will make his top-class debut in 2023, and he'll be looking to have an amazing rookie season. He will partner alongside fellow F2 racer Andrei Sazonov, who was confirmed back at Austin to also make his top-class debut with Aston Martin in 2023. The penultimate team news of the season comes from the American Haas team, as after a lot of speculation surrounding this team as well, they have announced that 5-time race winner Laura Chung will be joining the team in 2023. Laura has had a brilliant 2023 season, despite this season's Lamborghini going backwards compared to last season. She currently lies 9th in the Drivers' Championship, 11 points ahead of Jake Galloway, and her current team Lamborghini lies 7th in the Constructors, 7 points behind Italian neighbours Ferrari. Laura throughout the season has been very consistent, being able to finish in the points on most occasions, occasions, doing whatever she can with the car that she has had. Her most notable performance this season came at Portimao when she fended off immense pressure from Romain Quarg to take Lamborghini's only podium of the season so far. Laura, whilst disappointed she has missed out on a Mercedes drive, will be happy to know that she will be driving for a team that could be on the up, and she'll be looking to have a brilliant first season with Haas. She will partner alongside Barcia's Klaas, who will remain with the team after an amazing return to the top class. As for Nicolas Zorbach, it is bad news for him, as despite finishing second in the F2 Championship, he will not be on the top class grid in 2023. It is also bad news for 2009 World Champion Miklos Gau, as despite an amazing season in 2023, and due to tough competition for both Mercedes and Haas, he, like with teammate Q-Park, has been left without a drive for 2023, making him the second top class champion to lose out on a top class seat after Jay McKenzie during the 2020 silly season. The final team news of this year's silly season comes from Lamborghini, as after a lot of speculation, they have announced that 2014 DTM and 2021 Formula E champion Michael Mocho and F2 Balcarce winner Jafari Blackwood will be joining the team in 2023. Michael has had a brilliant return to the top class despite being beaten this season by teammate Barcia's Klaas. He currently lies 11th in the Drivers' Championship, 4 points behind Jake Galloway, and his current team Haas lie 4th in the Constructors, 13 points ahead of the departing AlphaTauri. Despite being overshadowed by Barcia's amazing season, Michael has put in some good performances throughout the season, such as in Yeognam and Austin, where in both races he finished a career equal in 4th, with his results being vital in Haas being 4th currently in the Constructors' Championship. Michael, whilst disappointed to not be retained by Haas, will be delighted to know that he'll still be in the top class next season, and he'll be looking to have a brilliant season with Lamborghini. In terms of his teammate for next season, Jafari Blackwood, he has had an amazing free season in the OC so far, despite the shaky middle part of 2022. He finished 4th in the F2 Championship, 3 points behind Hento Sinonome, and his team Dams won the Teams Championship by 29 points ahead of the departing Prema Racing. After a strong start to the season, the middle part of the season proved to be tricky for Jafari, with a few non-point scoring finishes. However, after an amazing and dominant final race of the season, which saw him win and take 4th in the Drivers' Championship, he did enough to convince Lamborghini of giving him a drive for 2023. Jafari, despite missing out on Toyota, will be over the moon to know that he'll be in the top class next season, and he'll be looking to have an impressive rookie season. For Rubino Gonzalez, it's bad news for him, as despite winning the DTM title and due to the tough competition for both Toyota and Lamborghini, he will sadly not be on the top class grid in 2023. With these news out of the way, we now have a complete grid for 2023. So just to recap, here are the teams and drivers for 2023 in current Constructors' Championship order. Mercedes will retain Amar Khan, and he'll be joined by Chinese Grand Prix winner Jesus Perinen. Red Bull will retain their lineup of Irishman Evan Byrne and Championship contender George Roque. Renault will retain Frenchman Romain Quarg, and he'll be joined by 2021 Formula 2 champion Johannes Martins. Haas will retain Belgian Grand Prix winner Barcia's Klaas, and he'll be joined by 5-time race winner Laura Chong. Ferrari will retain 4-time race winner Chris Chatfield, and he'll be joined by Italian driver Andre Vaderi. Lamborghini will have a new lineup consisting of 2014 DTM and 2021 Formula E champion Michael Mocho, and the first ever Jamaican driver in the top class, Jafari Blackwood. McLaren will retain their lineup of Italian driver Kirishima De Rosa and 2-time world champion Joseph Willows. The rebranded Sauber team will retain Hungarian rookie Bence Valdinga, and he'll be joined by 2021 Brazilian Grand Prix winner Rahul Patel. Aston Martin will have a new lineup consisting of 2020 BTCC champion Andrei Sazonov and 2019 Formula E runner-up Joseph Frederick Suto. Williams will retain German veteran Felix Sontag, and he'll be joined by 2016 DTM and 2022 World Champ Car champion and a returning Julius Anderson. And finally, the returning Toyota team will have 2-time world champion and current championship leader Franco Lopez, and he'll be joined by 2017 DTM champion and a returning Gabriel Gomez. With this out of the way, we now know that along with Amelia Wilson and Jake Galloway, these 4 drivers will also not be on the top class grid in 2023. These are Alfa Romeo's Dominic Decelli, Williams' Jamie Griffiths after a tricky season for the Welshman, and the 2 biggest ones being the AlphaTauri drivers of David Q-Park and 2009 world champion Miklos Gau, meaning that AlphaTauri along with their drivers Q-Park and Gau will not be in the top class next season. All these drivers, apart from Amelia Wilson who has retired, could end up being reserve drivers for 2023, but whether they will or not remains to be seen. Speaking of which, let's talk about the reserve drivers, because well, there isn't any to talk about, as for the first time in OC history, no reserve drivers have been announced early due to the amount of seats that were left to be confirmed on this final news video, and also the fact that there were still a few top class drivers that going into this news video hadn't been confirmed yet for a drive. This means as a result, all 11 teams competing in 2023 will be announcing their reserve drivers on Friday. Certain drivers will be offered reserve roles later on tonight, so if you missed out on a drive for 2023, keep an eye out on your DMs on either Discord or Twitter, or even the notification bell on YouTube, as you could be offered with a reserve role later tonight. The 11 reserve drivers, as mentioned, will be revealed on Friday via the GP4 OC Twitter account. In other news, the lineups for the 2023 Formula 2 season have also been announced this week, and thanks to finally finding a way to record internal audio on my Mac, and for the first time since the end of the 2020 season, here's our F2 commentator Rob to go through the teams and drivers for 2023.
Alright Joe, thank you. Now without further ado, let's take a look at the next season lineup for Formula 2. First up, it's going to be High-Tech Grand Prix, where the Kulisevich reigning champion will remain in the series for another season. Of course, he's leaving Prema because Prema is quitting. But Fogciano China joins him for High-Tech. Next up is the team's champions Dams, and they have a new lineup of Rubino Gonzalez from DTM and Samet Özkan moving teams yet again for another season. Next up is Virtuosi Racing. They've dropped the Uni, and they have Thomas Anderson returning to F2 after a while off, after narrowly winning the championship a few seasons ago, and alongside him is fellow world champ car driver Francesco La Rosa. Next up is Van Amersfoort Racing, and Will Parrish makes the step up from DTM alongside Santino Andreoli, who, despite fearing he would be dropped, has been retained by the team. At MP Motorsport, we have Tobias Kress staying at the team for another season, and alongside him is the returning Lorenzo Tomaselli from World Champ Car. Charouz has an interesting lineup with Marvo Koenig making the step up to Formula 2 and Adam Chobot joining the team as well. At our Grand Prix, it is Ross Denholm from Formula E making the step up, and João Pedro Curbi from Brazil from F2, staying in F2 of course. Next up is Campos, who have once again the same lineup of James Sturt and Alex Broster, so no changes there. But next up is a team that has a change. Nicholas Zorbach remains at Carlin, but alongside him is Michael Clark, who will be making his F2 debut. At Trident we have Aaron Curtis in the Irishman and former champion, hoping to still get his chance at a first win next season, and alongside him is Sana Choi from Formula E. And finally, for the brand new Tony GP, it's Alexander Arnold and current Alfa Romeo driver for a few races, Dominic De Celli. Well, that is the lineups, and I hope you guys enjoyed seeing these. I can't wait for the next season to come.
Thank you to Rob for going through the drivers and teams for F2 in 2023. How great is it to have him back after a season away? One driver you may have noticed was not present in the F2 lineup was Hento Sinanome, as this is due to the fact that he didn't put his name down for F2 in time. This means as a result, if he still wants to be in the OC fraternity next season, along with the other drivers who have missed out on either a top class or an F2 drive, they'll have to apply for either DTM, Formula E or World Champ Car if they want to race in 2023. DTM, as per usual, will close tomorrow, a few minutes after the top class finale comes to a close, whilst Formula E and World Champ Car, which is a joint sign-up, will close this Saturday at 10 PM BST, a few hours after the end of season test for the top class at Abu Dhabi. So if you haven't signed up yet for any of these series, you need to be quick. Sticking on the topic of the other three series, we do have some breaking news to share about one of them in particular, specifically Formula E. You may remember just over a month and a half ago that top class host Yuri announced that he would no longer be hosting Formula E and World Champ Car after the conclusion of the 2023 season due to timing reasons. Well, plans have slightly changed, as there is a chance that Yuri could continue to host World Champ Car beyond the 2023 season should a new host not be found in time. However, for Formula E, the title decided at the outer layer of Sakir this season ended up being Yuri's last race as Formula E host, as from the 2023 season, a new host has been found to run the Formula E series. And the previous Saturday, just before this Saturday just gone, I had the opportunity to interview the person who will take over Formula E from next season. So without any hold-ups, here is that interview. So, as my future self just said there, we have got a new host for Formula E who will be starting to host from next season, taking over, of course, from Yuri. So, Mr. New Formula E host, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello everybody, I'm the new Formula E host for next year's Formula E for 2023. I'm a person you may recognise in commentaries, but if you're new here, well, Joan, you might want to explain who I am.
Yep, this is Blake Moore, and from 2023, he is going to become the new Formula E host. And I think from everybody here in the OC, I think everybody would like to welcome you on the world of hosting here in the OC. I hope you're going to enjoy it. So, I have 5 questions, and, well, let's get on with it, shall we? So, what made you decide that you wanted to host a series in the OC, and when did you first approach Yuri on this?
The reason why I wanted to first host the OC, I think when I first wanted to start hosting the OC, it's when Yuri first announced back in Discord. It was like a couple months ago, where he said the World Champ Car and the Formula E hosting is frustrating him, and I might consider switching it to simulation hosting instead of broadcast hosting. Which, obviously, I cannot let that one go because it will not make a lot people happy with that decision. But I need to relieve some stress off of Yuri because of his work hours and work weeks during Saturdays and Sundays. So I've just decided to step in and host Formula E, but not World Champ Car. But however, I think when I first approached him, he literally just decided. He literally just said full on yes instead of a no.
Indeed. So you're obviously going to be hosting Formula E from next season, becoming the 3rd person to host the series after me and Yuri, obviously. Why in particular did you choose Formula E as the one you wanted to host?
The reason why I want to choose Formula E is because I just find it to be a little more easier to me than World Champ Car or something like that. It's just I just find it a little bit more easier to host than World Champ Car because the complications with one-shot qualifying and adding some extra bits into World Champ Car, which personally I wouldn't think would be suited to me. So so that's why I chose Formula E instead of World Champ Car instead.
Okay, so 3rd question is, so with you making your hosting debut from next season, what can we expect from you going forward?
Okay, so I won't just spoil the calendar or anything, but I think I want to see street tracks completely removed, because I just don't see as many street tracks getting some really good racing as I expected. I just don't think that street tracks are living up to the standard of Formula E as they were, I don't know, a couple seasons ago. I think your announcement back in in the 2019 season basically changed the game, and I want to see different circuits have a chance. But I will not spoil the calendar for obvious reasons. But and also I will have an introduction back of preseason testing to see how I go for my first stream, basically.
Okie dokie. 2 more questions then before we end this interview, and they're kind of rumours, it must be said. So, I have heard a little rumour that because you are now the host of Formula E, we may be expecting the series to move days. Is there any truth to this? And if so, what day or days are you planning to host the series?
I would say, I think my planned schedule, it's because I think I want to see, I think it's more likely to see, a Formula E race on Sunday, because that means I have loads of time to set up. I will be doing my own stuff from later on in the day, so I think you most likely would see a Formula E race from me being on a Sunday. But if it's I don't know, a summer break, I'll put it in Tuesday. I'll put it on a Tuesday afternoon instead of a Tuesday evening.
Okay, very interesting. And finally, I think you kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier on in the interview, but there's also been some rumblings that you may have a different calendar to the one that Yuri was originally going to have for next season. Is there also any truth to this, and will you be losing the same calendar that Yuri was planning to use?
No, I will not be using the same calendar as Yuri as intended, but I'm still testing some tracks to see if they work or not, to see what tracks suited the Formula E cars better than others. I'm testing some tracks, which are obviously the tracks that obviously I think you would see a massive. I would not say a massive redux in the calendar, but you would see a little redux in the calendar to see how it is. But I would say a certain country will be coming back after I don't know. A new country will be coming to the Formula E calendar, but obviously we're not spoiled for that. So you need to leave your predictions down below in the chat.
Okay, well that's all the questions I have. So I think once again on behalf of us, Blake, welcome to the hosting and good luck for the 2023 season. So there you have it. After much speculation, Blake Moore will become the new Formula E host from 2023, becoming the third person to run it after myself and Yuri. We wish Blake the best of luck in his first ever season of running Formula E and becoming a host in the OC. Formula E, as mentioned, will move to a Sunday, with qualifying and the race being on at 1 PM BST, or if F1 is on, 5 PM BST, with a chance of maybe having a midweek race meeting if Blake is on a summer break, for example. On the topic of the Formula E calendar that was mentioned in that interview, that will be revealed next Wednesday, along with the lineups and calendars for DTM, Formula E and World Champ Car as well, so keep your eyes peeled for that. In other news, the dates for the 2023 car launches have been revealed, which are on your screen right now. Ferrari will be the first to launch on the 13th of July at Fiorano, followed by Sauber a day later at Dijon. The returning Toyota team will launch their first ever top class car since 2009 at the Southern Fuji Speedway on the 15th, followed by Renault on the 16th at Paul Ricard. Mercedes on the 17th will once again launch their car at Hockenheim, whilst Haas on the following day will launch at Road America. Once again, Aston Martin will launch at Silverstone on the 19th, whilst a day later, and staying in the UK, Williams will launch their 2023 Challenger at Oulton Park. Lamborghini with their new lineup will launch their car at Mazzano on the 21st, with McLaren being the penultimate launch at the Nürburgring the next day. And finally, on the 23rd of July, a day before pre-season testing, Red Bull will launch their 2023 Challenger once again at the Red Bull Ring. Like with the previous two seasons, we hope you are looking forward to the 2023 car launches, especially with Toyota's first top class car in a while. And finally, in other news, these are the criteria that the championship contenders need in order to win the title. George Russell will need a lot of luck on his side, as he is 23 points back from championship leader Franco Lopez after just keeping his title hopes alive at the chaotic and dramatic Argentine Grand Prix 2 weeks ago. So who will walk away as the 2022 GP4 offline champion? Will George Russell achieve the near impossible of coming back from a 23-point deficit to win his first ever world title, or will Franco Lopez in his final race for Mercedes get redemption from last season and leave the German manufacturer in the best way possible and win his third world championship, becoming the second driver to do so after Florian Volker? Tune in to the final race of the season tomorrow at 5 PM BST, as even though the gap is 23 points, as the late Murray Walker said, anything can happen in Grand Prix racing, and it usually does. And that is it, not just for this week, but also from Series 10 of the GP4 OC News. Massive thanks to Yuri for once again allowing me to do this series for another season, and massive thanks to everyone for your continued support of this series. This season's silly season has been the toughest one yet, and even though it might not have been as chaotic as originally thought, it still provided some crazy moments and some memorable ones as well. And at least this time, we were able to do 10 episodes, unlike last series which had to be cut short due to my old hard drive corrupting. The GP4 OC News will return midway for the 2023 season, where we will have another 10 episodes and a pilot episode to go through the teams and drivers for 2024, as who knows, it could be just as crazy as this one. But until then, I have been JW97, enjoy the title decider here at Abu Dhabi, and I will see you very, very soon. After 22 and a half minutes of that news video, we are finally here for the practice session. Hello everybody, I am JW97 and welcome to the final practice session of the 2022 GP4 Offline Championship here at the Yas Marina circuit on the Yas Island in United Arab Emirates. As mentioned, I'm JW97 and today I'm joined by, well, current world champion but soon to be former world champion by the end of this week, Franco Gamba.
So yeah, hello guys. It was a long news video, huh?
It was indeed 22 and a half minutes. I think that is a record for the OC, if I'm not mistaken. I think most of it was down to that Blake interview, if I'm being honest. I think without that Blake interview, it would have been 17 minutes. But as I did say a few weeks ago, we were expecting it to be quite a lengthy episode, and I guess it didn't disappoint.
Yeah, I mean, some surprises and some, let's say, expectation, as actually people predicted. But I will definitely say that. AlphaTauri have a special livery. Meanwhile,
I was going to get onto that. I was going to get onto that in a little bit. As have as well Alfa Romeo. There's a couple of special liveries as well, but of course I'll get onto those in a little bit.
Okay. So yeah, in general, it's some surprises. I mean, for example, David and Miklos not getting a seat is definitely a surprise. So, and yeah, another surprise is especially Gabriel getting the Toyota seat, which probably was the least expected thing that people actually was thinking.
Yes,
Like
indeed.
people, sorry, I think like people were
Yeah, there was a
thinking
bit of
they weren't sure about Jafari or Rubinho, but no one thought about Gabriel.
I was going to bring on to those transfers, but anyway, we're about to get underway for practice. Armar Car's going out onto the track. We might as well, as you were just doing there, before we start that, of course, you would have seen it in the garages a little bit earlier on, but 3 teams, well, I say 3 teams, I'll say 2.5 teams, have got a special livery for this race. AlphaTauri have got a special livery. I think you can guess why, because of course, this is AlphaTauri's final ever top class race, of course. Of course, they will be there at the end of season test this Saturday, so obviously they've got something special for that as well. But for this final ever race, they've got a special livery, and it was obviously edited by Evan, and I believe from what he said, it's kind of based on kind of a retro Minardi livery, I think, in a way. So it's got some reminiscence of retro Minardis in the past. So that's their farewell livery. Also, Alfa Romeo. Oh, that's what he said anyway, not my words, the words of Evan. But Alfa Romeo, also edited by Yuri there, not Yuri, Evan, have also got a special livery. They've gone with a very green livery for their final race with their partners Sauber, of course, because after this race, of course, Sauber and Alfa Romeo will, of course, be splitting up. And on Evan's Red Bull, of course, he's got a special livery because, as we know, it is the last week of Pride Month, I believe it is, and he's decided to design his car in commemoration to the fact that it is Pride Month, and I think everyone can be very happy about that indeed, and I think that's a very good thing that Evan is doing there. So, anyway, as we're about to get on with practice, we might as well, now that we've got those special liveries out of the way, we might as well talk about the transfers that have happened in the final day, of course. And I guess we could also talk about Formula 2 as well if we need to find something to talk about. So we might as well start off with Mercedes, because after a lot of speculation, it will be Jesus Perinen that is going to be the one that partners alongside Armar Carr next season. I think it's safe to say, looking at the stream chat, Franco, it seemed to be a very positive response for that.
Yeah, I mean, in general, Jesus is seen actually as a next future world champion, especially after what he did last year in Formula 1 with Renault, and he achieved a lot. The only thing missing for him was the race win, and he achieved that in China. Was a bit lucky, but luck is needed for getting results as well. So I think that Armor will have a tough life with him, and in general, I guess why people are happy, because they think that actually Isus is going to be really interesting to follow. And let's say one thing in general, Isus, if I'm allowed to say, like, Isus wasn't even the favorite until, let's say, last round. We can say this. I can say
Yes,
this.
that
It was a very
rating
tough situation.
suggested, yes. That's what the rating suggested, yes. Not in terms of what the public thought, but that's what the ratings were suggesting going into it. Of course, you will find that out, of course, when we do the ratings reveal this Friday, of course, because, of course, as confirmed by Yuri on Discord, the end of discussion stream will be happening this Friday. So look forward to that one.
Yeah, of course. We will. Everyone will. So,
Yes, indeed.
Then on to us, and we go on to us.
We'll go to Haas next. As a result of Laura missing out on the Mercedes seat, of course, she's ended up driving for Lamborghini next season alongside Bartosz Klas. And I think, judging from the trends, Franco, given that they've got an upward trend next season, and given a lot of hype surrounding Haas for next season, they've got a very strong lineup for that.
Yeah, indeed. I agree with it, and I think that Haas is going to be a real threat next season. I don't think they will challenge every race Mercedes and Red Bull, but I don't know, maybe in some types of trucks they can actually be in the mix for the win. let's say in some occasion, but rarely. They could be a sort of Red Bull like in 2017, where they were the third best team, and occasionally they were fighting for the win, but of course not always. And I think it's going to be the case with us as well. So Laura and Bartos is going to be a really interesting lineup, and we will see who will prevail on each other.
Indeed, that's a battle I'm definitely looking forward to. On the topic of Haas, you would have noticed on the timing screens that Nicolas Zorbach is in the Haas for today in place of Michael Mocho, of course. This was meant to be at Argentina, you may remember, 2 weeks ago, but because everything was kind of last minute, you see a replay of Sontag making a mistake through into that chicane, we decided to move it to Abu Dhabi here. So Zorbach is in the car for this, and, well, I guess in a way, kind of maybe a farewell to Haas. Who knows, really? We don't really know the reserve driver situation yet, because as you would have seen in that news video, for the first ever time in OC history, no reserve driver got announced today. And that was mainly because of how chaotic this final episode was. So there we go, really. So there'll be a lot of offers being made later tonight. I can guarantee you that one. That is for sure. So yeah, that's that, really. But yeah, so Zorbach's in the car for this session, but we might as well talk about Michael Mocho whilst we're at it. We'll go to Lamborghini next, because sadly, after just missing out on the Haas seat, it must be said, because let's not forget, Michael has had quite a good season, it must be said. I don't think anybody's going to dispute that. It's just, unfortunately, with the competition that there was there at Haas, he sadly drew the short straw out of that one, really. But at least, luckily for him, there was another drive for him waiting for him, and that's going to be Lamborghini next season. And I think it'd be interesting to see what Michael can do in that car, alongside Jafari Blackwood, of course, will be making his top-class debut next season with the team.
I think surely Michael will be actually a mentor for Jafari in his actually new adventure in Formula One. And I mean, it's a shame Michael won't be at Haas, but yeah, as you say, the competition for him was very tough. In general, two drivers like Laura and Miklos as competitors tells you how big was actually the competition, and also Nicolas as well, who did really well this season in Formula 2. So the competition was very high. We can actually tell you that in general. But I think Lamborghini is having a down trend. So I don't know where Lamborghini will be, but the important for him is to perform the best as possible. About not caring much about how his performance will be, it will be the pure performance that will count for, let's say, a bigger opportunity for him. So I wouldn't count it as a sort of relegation, because it's not a relegation. It's just, let's say, a sort of movement where you make a step down to make two steps forward. So I think Michael can actually follow this path, and of course, I have the faith that he will recover in a season for sure.
Yeah, indeed. And, well, on the topic of the rookies coming up as well, as we mentioned there, Jafari Blackwood, of course, is going to be making his debut with Lamborghini next season. And we've got Joseph Frederick Suto coming in for Aston Martin in next season alongside Andrei Sazonov. I think it's safe to say some people are not too surprised that Suto got the drive, given the amount of competition that was there at the team. And same with Blackwood, really. And, well, it seems that everyone was very positive to see Blackwood get a drive, it's fair to say.
Yeah, I mean, Jafari, I was convinced he would have gotten a drive at Toyota or Lamborghini. He ends up at Lamborghini, which is actually, I think, even better, because maybe at Toyota he would have had pressure of having a teammate like Franco Lopez, which would have been a tough competition for him. So having, let's say, with all respect to Michael, of course, but having a champion like a double champion, like possible now triple champion like Franco Lopez as teammate, it's like having Fernando Alonso as your teammate, and you come as a rookie, you end up like Stoffel Van Dorn. But so having a teammate like Michael Mocho is more, let's say, chill for him. You have less pressures, and he can actually prove himself for bringing surprises. Like last few seasons, I think for what he did in BTTC and of course F2 in last year and this year, he had all the credits to join in the top class, and he deserves this shot. So I hope that he will do well and he will impress everyone.
Yeah, indeed. And in terms of Jose Frederic Souto, I mean, we mentioned that Jafari Blackwood is the first Jamaican driver to take part in the top class next season. I do think, if I'm not mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Jose Frederic Souto is going to become the first Slovakian driver to enter the top class next season. So that's also a first there as well. And he'll be partnered alongside Andrei Sazonov. And, well, who knows really what's going to happen with Aston Martin next season, because they do have a downward trend next season. And who knows really how both Sazonov and Souto in their rookie seasons are going to cope.
Yeah, let's say Suter was so close to getting a seat in Formula One various times. This time the opportunity is coming, and let's say it won't be an easy adventure for him because, as we said, Aston Martin is having a downtrend. So yeah, it's going to be a tough competition, especially also with a rookie teammate, which is actually let's say it was tough. And yeah, for both Andre and Josef Frederick, it will be a season of, let's say, maybe they will have the same situation as Williams is having this season, but who knows. By the looks of it, it looks like it could remind everyone to what Haas dealt in real life in 2021 when they had a really bad car and two rookies. And yeah, let's say it wasn't easy. So I hope that for them it won't be the same path, but for sure it won't be easy, and they will need let's say a lot of luck.
Indeed, we'll have to wait and see how Aston cope next season, of course. We talked about Toyota there just a little bit earlier on with Blackwood as well, and you kind of alluded to it earlier on, but the person who will be partnering alongside Franco Lopez next season, I guess the surprise of many people, is Gabriel Gomez. He'll be returning to the top class next season after just missing out on the World Champ Car title this season, of course, and I think it's safe to say, Franco, Toyota have got a very strong lineup for their return season.
I was one of the people who are surprised about Gabriel returning to the top class with Toyota, and yes, Toyota have a really strong lineup. I think that the only weakness for Toyota is that they will have an Argentinian and a Brazilian together in a team, and you know the relationship is not going to be easy between them. But apart the jokes, I think that for Gabriel, these 2 seasons away in the top class has helped him to grow as a driver, and now I think that coming to Toyota will be more ready than before, than his first stint in F1. Sorry, it's the second stint because he was with Haas and then he had here in DTM. His first stint in F1, and yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what he will do, especially alongside a champion like Franco is. So it's going to be curious to see what will happen at Toyota.
Indeed, and I'm definitely going to be curious to see, because as we've mentioned a few weeks ago, Toyota are the only team, of course, to not have a trend, of course, given the fact that they are a new team entering, of course. So it is going to be very interesting to see where Toyota end up in their first season and whereabouts on the pecking order they're going to be. Of course, I'm not expecting them to challenge for the championship. I think that's a little bit too unfair. Got a crash, Martins, and it looks like Chung's got involved in that one, but I think Chung has actually survived that, but Martins has not. So that is, unfortunately, practice over for Johannes Martins. Okay. Hold the fault there for a moment then. So it might be a pit exit glitch, which means that it might not count towards the spare car ban, let's see. And I think it is, judging from Martins' movements there. So, yeah. Okay,
Fair enough.
Yuri's just confirmed that this will not count towards the spare car ban. So Martins will be allowed to continue, but Chung will have to get a new front wing as a result of that one. As, of course, both of them entering their final race with their two teams respectively, of course, because Martins is, of course, heading off to Renault next season to partner alongside Roman Quark. And, of course, Chung, as we know, is going to be heading off to Haas next season alongside Bartsch Klaas. So that's that, really. And so, anyway, back to the topic there with Toyota. It will be interesting to see where they end up. Again, not expecting them to challenge for the championship. I'd be very surprised if they end up starting to challenge at the front straight away. But then again, it is Franco Lopez we are talking about here. But again, even with Franco Lopez, I'm not fully expecting them to challenge straight away, let's say.
Yeah, I have the same feeling. They might be like Lamborghini was 2 years ago. Maybe they can occasionally challenge for podiums, but I don't think that they will be strong enough to, as you say, to compete for the championship immediately. Also, Jiri said in the past that newly coming teams will never have actually the opportunity to be really strong enough to compete immediately for the championship. So, yeah, it will be a long way to the top for them, but I think that maybe in 2024 they will be very competitive. In the meanwhile, 2023 will be a formative season for them, and they might surprise like Lamborghini did 2 years ago. Lamborghini also got 2 wins last year. So, yeah. Basically, there's a possibility. Actually, they can also win races. So, who knows?
You even put a statistic for us in a little chat there, and statistically, a new team being on World Constructors Championship level, as I think WTC
3,000. Okay.
1 to 3,000 is at a 1 to 3,000 rate, basically. So if you take that in betting odds, it's quite a low chance. So that's that really. But anyway, that's Toyota done with, as Martin's car is still being pushed back. It seems the barrier, of course, at that part of the track is a little bit far away, it must be said. So it's going to probably take a while for Martin to get back on the racetrack. But anyway, I think I'm missing out one other driver, aren't I? Oh yeah, of course. It had to be me, didn't it? So obviously, as a result of Perrin being announced at Mercedes, it was also announced that Joseph Willows would, of course, be staying at McLaren for next season. And, well, who knows, really? I think for him, he'll be hoping it's a better season than this one.
Yeah, let's say Joseph Willows' season this year has been terrible. Is actually even a compliment, but not because he did bad, but he had so much bad circumstances that, yeah, it's a season to forget for him. I really hope that in 2023 he will have a better luck and, of course, a better car in terms of reliability, both him and Kiro, so that they can actually fight for better positions. Their trend is expected to be the same, so I don't know where they will be, probably like this season, but if they can actually capitalize on some chaotic race where actually the top cars are out and they're in a strong positions, they need to fix the reliability, because if they fix that, they can actually get even big results on some occasions. And yeah, of course, we know Joseph Willows is a 2-time world champion, so let's say he's leaving a sort of a Fernando Alonso 2015 moment. And I think that seeing now Fernando Alonso, of course, he will bounce back. That this is of what I'm sure. So next season, I think that McLaren will be slightly better. In before it's a jinx, but I think personally that McLaren will be better in general. They just need to fix the reliability, and with that they will be, let's say, fine.
Well, Joseph will be hoping that is the case next season, of course. As a result of these driver news as well, we might as well talk about this. It does mean that along with Amelia Wilson, who's of course retired from the series, and of course Jake Galloway, who didn't sign up in time, these 4 drivers also will not be on the top class grid next season. Dominic Ticelli, Jamie Griffiths, and the 2 AlphaTauri drivers of David Kupok and Mikolas Gau. I don't think it's safe to say Ticelli and Griffiths, not too much of a surprise, given that Ticelli, I think he needed a bit of a miracle to get that second Ferrari seat alongside Chris Chatfield. Of course, Ticelli will be in Formula 2 next season. You would have seen that in the announcements as well. He'll be driving for Tony Grand Prix alongside Alexander Arnold next season. So it'll be interesting to see what Ticelli can do in Formula 2 next season. And, well, Jamie Griffiths, I think it was to be expected that he was going to be out of a drive, really. And, well, given the tricky season that the Welshman has had, I think it was pretty much just waiting for the inevitable, really.
Yeah. Okay. We made all the jokes and everything about Jamie, but yeah, it's fair to say that his season has been okay. Every negative adjective, but in general, a very difficult season. And I think, let's say, a sort of series switch for him isn't a bad thing. He can still actually come on top and returning more strong than ever in 2024. This one is, of course, a season to forget. Even with the bad car, actually, Williams gave to both him and Felix. So, I mean, you need, in these cases, when you have a difficult season like this, you need a reset. And with that reset, whenever you will be, surely it will make you stronger because you will have a clear mind and you can return to actually express your pure speed in general. And this is what actually Jamie didn't have the opportunity, and Felix as well. Even if Felix did quite well this season, let's say, for the car he had. And yeah, Jamie can't prove any result, and yeah, of course we will wish Jamie the best of luck in his future. Of course, the Chinese F4 memes are, yeah, let's say a sort of jokes that actually Jamie, of course, upsetting, but yeah, you know, meow Jamie.
You had to get the laughter in there, didn't it? But we might as well talk about the 2 AlphaTauri drivers. It's ironic that this is AlphaTauri's last race, and they're basically taking the 2 drivers with them, David Kupok and Mikolas Gau. I think it's safe to say people were very sad that both of them missed out on a drive, particularly Kupok, I noticed as well. It was quite a lot of sad moments there with him losing a drive. But unfortunately, they just came up against stiff competition in the end.
Yeah, let's say the most unfortunate case personally is David, because I feel like that him and Raul were quite close in terms of competition. I mean, both of them personally would have deserved the seat, but you know, 3 persons in 2 seats is impossible. So of course, one person had to sacrifice himself, and in this case it was the poor David. And yeah, in a way, it's a sort of you can have actually a sort of career revival, as we've seen also with Gabriel when he joined now in World Champ car. So I think that losing a seat and going to a lower series, okay, not the lower because it is discrimination, but a different series, an alternative series, it's going also to be a career revival. It could be a career revival. So it's not losing a seat is not exactly loss. It could lead to different opportunities that could actually make your future brighter than what you think. So for both Dave in this case, and of course Miklos, who is the second champion, who is going to be without drive next season. I mean, for both him and Dave, it will be an important opportunity for for a sort of career revival. And maybe if they have in their mind to return in the top class in 2024, they can have a strong shot.
Indeed, perhaps indeed. And on the topic of Mikolas Gal, of course, you may have noticed what I said in the news video. He is the second world champion to lose out on a top-class drive. The first one, of course, you may remember, was Jay McKenzie at the end of 2020 after fighting a Red Bull seat against, well, the guy I'm in the commentary box with, Franco Garber. So, yeah, that's that really. So, yeah, it's a bit of a shame because Gal, of course, has been in the series for a very long time, and it will be bit weird not to see his name on the grid, if I'm being totally honest. But unfortunately, that's that really. The silly season can be cruel. It's not kind to anyone really, and unfortunately, Gal drew the short straw on both Mercedes and Haas. Oh, Valdinger's got a problem. Valdinger with the special liveried Alfa Romeo. Of course, this their last race with the Alfa Romeo partnership has got a mechanical failure, and it's a suspension failure to be exact, and that is his session done with. And at least this time around, not a glitch. This is a mechanical failure. So for Valdinger, not a great start for Alfa Romeo's final race meeting before they split up with Sauber.
Yeah, luckily for them, it's only practice, but it's not good to start like this before the qualifying session. You don't have actually a good feeling in general. So yeah, let's hope that actually they will have better luck in qualifying.
Yeah, indeed, and of course I did get some clarification from Evan really as to what that livery is. In fact, with Alfa Romeo, it's actually based on a 1950s livery Alfa Romeo had when they had green and red. So that's where that one is based from really, and specifically the Minardi livery in particular, which is the special livery that AlphaTauri are using in their final ever race, based on the 1985 Minardi. So that's the clarification that I got there from Evan. So yeah, that's that really. So with just over 10 minutes to go, this is what the leaderboard looks like then. Evan Byrne is currently at the top with Franco Lopez in second, and then it is Amar Khan in third, George Roque in fourth, with Laura Chung in fifth, Jesus Perrin in sixth, with Jake Galloway in seventh, Roman Quagg is currently in eighth, with David Cupart ninth, Rahul Patel in 10th, with Barges Klot in 11th, Mikolas Gal in 12th, Chris Chatfield is in 13th, Bent Valdinger, who's now finished for the session due to his suspension failure, in 14th, with Haas reserve driver Nicolas Zorbach in 15th, Dominic DeCelli in 16th, with Andre Verderi in 17th, Felix Sontag 18th, Kirishima De Rosa 19th, with Joseph Willows in 20th, Johannes Martins 21st, and Jamie Griffiths currently 22nd on that. And I do believe I may have got it wrong actually with the Alfa Romeo, because I think that's why my alerts are going off at the moment with Evan. 85 Alfa Romeo. Thanks for that, Evan. I kind of got a little bit of a blink over that. I kind of only glossed over that, but yeah, apologies for that. Bit of a twist of the tongue there, but yeah, that's that really. In his words, really, he believes the 1950s livery, the red livery, which I do believe that you're a personal fan of, Franco, which is what the livery that Alfa Romeo has been running for the last 2 years, in his opinion, is overrated. A controversial opinion there, it must be said. So, yeah. Anyway, so now that we've got all the driver stuff done, and we've got just under 14 minutes to go, as Byrne has just set the purple first sector there in the special liveried Red Bull, we can finally talk about the Argentine Grand Prix from 2 weeks ago, because, well, a lot of stuff kicked off in that race, it's fair to say. It's fair to say the track was not exactly the best when it came to the wet weather, but we do believe since then, and I think it was actually a few hours after the race in Argentina, that we do believe that that Flo has actually found a fix for that chicane. So that'll be good for next season. Looking forward to that one indeed. But in terms of the Argentine Grand Prix, we thought when we were going into that race that Franco Lopez possibly was going to win the championship, especially after this man, Evan Byrne, retired early on in the race, ending his championship hopes. But then, of course, towards the end of the race, Jake Galloway had other ideas, taking out Franco Lopez, possibly miffing the Argentine fans as a result, and, well, probably with a chorus of boos as well. And, well, the championship has been left wide open because George Roque, who went on to win the race, comes into this race with a slight chance of winning the championship. He is 23 points back, but mathematically, he's still within a shout.
And that's actually the least expected thing that everyone was actually expecting. So, yeah, let's say... I made a joke, of course, about Jake Galloway being Shumi barrier because, yeah, one race he performs really well and the other one he doesn't really perform really well, remembering Luca Badoer. So, let's say last week it was the perfect resemblation of Shumi Badoer in one single race for him, because let's say if he's even here driving in Abu Dhabi, it's a miracle, because Argentinians probably were putting guns on him, so probably he had the security to protect him and to go here in Abu Dhabi. So yeah, let's say it would have been a big win for Jake if he didn't actually crashed into Franco. Franco, of course, now will be the champion, of course. So let's say everything can change with a single episode. And in this case, Franco taken out by Jake changed basically all the, let's say not much, but of course changed a lot, because the championship is mathematically still open. There's, I don't know, a 10% possibility that actually George can realistically win the championship, but that 10% possibility can be even 90% if an unfortunate episode happens to Franco tomorrow. So, you know, it's difficult. These episodes can even decide a championship. So, let's say it was a shame, because anyway, Franco winning in his own race, also the championship would have been, let's say, cool, because it's rare to see a driver winning the home race and the title as well in his home race. So yeah, a shame that didn't happen.
Yep, indeed, and because it would have been quite a poetic story if Franco won his third World Championship in what is going to be his final season with Mercedes. Of course, this will be his final race for Mercedes, of course, before he heads off to Toyota next season. Whether he takes the number one with him over to Toyota is going to be another question, really. But yeah, it will be. It sadly didn't happen, of course, and we'll end up in this situation where George Roque does have a mathematical shout of potentially winning his first World Championship. But again, he will need a lot of luck on his side. But let's not forget what happened in GP2 a number of seasons ago with Taravi Alteronon, who went on to win the championship despite being, I think, 22 points behind Gabriel Gomez in the championship. So you never know, anything could happen, and it usually does. I'll get on to Michael Clark's question in a minute, because it is quite a good question. But yeah, obviously as well, David Cupot getting a podium at the Argentine Grand Prix last night. Oh, contact there, and it's the crash between Chapman and who was that? That was Barges Kloss. And, well, Kloss has survived, but Chatfield has not. And I don't think Chatfield is going to be particularly happy with Kloss there.
Let's say it was a friendly crash. They want just to give fun to the fans in the grandstand here at the end of the sector 2. So yeah, let them have fun. Of course, Chatfield won't be happy, but it's only practice. Luckily, it didn't happen in qualifying. So yeah, that's better, of course, for Bartos.
Indeed, and so that's Chatfield's session done with as a result of that. So his session will be over as a result of that. So he'll have the spare car ban implemented. Kloss will have to come back into the pits for a new front wing as a result of that. But yeah, we're looking at Perinen, who of course will be moving to Mercedes next season. So with just under 9 minutes to go then. This is what the leaderboard looks like. Byrne at the top with Lopez second, Carr in third with Roque in fourth, and then it's Chung in fifth, Perrin in sixth, Galloway is in 7th with Quag in 8th, Kupok in 9th, Patel is in 10th with Kloss 11th, Gall in 12th, Chatfield 13th, Valdinger in 14th with the Haas reserve driver Zollback in 15th with Decelli 16th, Vaderi 17th, De Rosa 18th, Sontag 19th, Willows 20th, Martins in 21st and Griffiths in 22nd position. So yeah, we might as well ask this question then whilst we're at it with Michael Clark, because he's asked us what has been your favourite moment of this season in 2022, and for me, I think that's a pretty easy one for me. It's got to be, in terms of, from a commentator's point of view, it has to be Bartosz Kloss's win at Belgium. I think it was definitely the most popular win that season.
Yeah, I mean, personally, the best, for each class, I'd say, for top class, of course, Bartosz Kloss winning a race in Spa was incredible, because he also had an incredible pace. Yeah, Danny was a little bit lucky that the drivers in front had a collision, or for example, George had collected the debris for the crash between Evan and Franco. But I think that Bartosz was strong enough to even compete for the podium on pure pace if Evan and Franco were still in the race. I mean, so in general, for me, it's a deserved win for him, and he dominated that race. So that was a special moment, of course, because first win for us. And the fun fact is that the client team of Ferrari got a win before the Ferrari itself. So that actually sums up as well Ferrari season.
Yes, it does indeed. I mean, they could have won last time out, as you mentioned, Argentina could Ferrari, but obviously that didn't happen, of course. But I think a close second for me, even though for me, Bartosz Kloss's win at Belgium is probably the best moment of the season for me, is Lopez has a bit of a moment coming out of that chicane there. But the close second for me, though, if I'm going to give a close second now, and an honourable mention, has got to be that battle between Laura Chung and Roman Quarg at Portimao. It was a very intense fight for third, which Laura Chung just got at the line, despite the fact that she made a mistake in the final corner.
Yeah, that defense was amazing by Laura, and Roman as well gave everything, and both of them gave a good show. So let's say Laura was even lucky about getting a podium because Roman did some mistakes before, but in general it was a deserved podium, and let's say we are all happy that it went like this. We do all respect to Roman, of course, but yeah, Laura, of course, had as let's say maybe a slower car than Roman, so it was a sort of underdog podium. So it's like this.
Indeed, and well, that's that's that really. So that's for me my best moments of the season, must be said. With just over 5 minutes to go, I think we might as well just make a little mention to the newest host now as part of the OC starting from next season. Blake Moore, of course. If you didn't watch the news, Blake Moore is going to become the new Formula E host from next season, taking over from Yuri, of course. Yuri will still continue to host World Champ Car and could continue to do so beyond 2023 should a new host not be found in time. But it's going to be very interesting to see what Blake can do in his first season as host, really, with Formula E.
Yeah, let's say first of all, finding an host is amazing. Of course, everyone knows how busy is Jiri with this schedule. It's even a miracle he managed to host these 3 seasons, these 2 seasons and a half, let's say. But I'm sure Blake will do a good job, and of course, I'm really looking forward to see what will change, because of course there will be changes with him, but I'm sure that all those changes will be in a positive way. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, indeed, and Yuri's saying Blake's been personally trained by me, so he will do fine. I'm sure he will do fine. Oh, another pit glitch this time involving car and I think that was Willows, wasn't it? It was a McLaren there, so that won't count towards the spare car ban. With car there, but another into that pit exit glitch in practice.
Well, I hope that these episodes will only happen in practice and not in the race itself tomorrow. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
You're just saying it's extremely rare in races. It's mainly prevalent in practice and qualifying. Although I'd say it's more rare.
It's extremely rare.
Although I would say it's more rarer in qualifying than what it is in the race, given everybody goes out in a group essentially. So, yeah, it's just something to bear in mind, really. But yeah, car that won't count towards the spare car ban, so don't worry about that one. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what Blake can do as well next season, and yeah, it should be interesting to see what he does. Of course, as we mentioned in the news video, he'll be moving Formula E to a Sunday next season at 1 p.m. BST should F1 not be on, but 5 p.m. BST if F1 is on. Of course, there's a bit of contact there going down the straight between. I think that was that Willows there that Griffiths was trying to get by. Was it between those two? And yeah, it was. That was a little bit awkward there between Griffiths and Willows, as well as just trying to get back to the pits there. In fact, I did notice that a McLaren and a Williams actually did collide early on in the session at the previous chicane earlier on, and I think it was Willows and Griffiths. So clearly no love lost there, it seems. Maybe not for Malaysia in 2020. Who knows, really? But anyway, but yeah, he's obviously moving it to a Sunday from 1 p.m. if F1 is on and 5 p.m. if F1 is on, of course. I think I said that right. 1 p.m. if F1 isn't on, and 5 p.m. if F1 is on. Yeah, that's right. But he has said there could be a chance of maybe having a midweek race in the future. Say, like, for example, if he's on a summer break, for example, then there could be a chance. But whether he does or not, it's going to be another question, really. But at least we know it will be a Sunday, that is for sure. Now, one thing I am wondering is, I'm going to presume World Champ Car is still going to be on a Monday, of course, but in fact I will double check that with Yuri later on, of course. Well, yeah, it will still be on a Monday, but there is something else I need to double check with Yuri later on, which I'll ask privately, of course, because that it's not really something to be discussed in public at the moment. So I'll leave that for later on. That's that really. So anyway, we've got just over 3 minutes to go now in this practice session. Byrne's still at the top. We're looking at David Kupok at the moment in the AlphaTauri, who's currently lying in 9th position now. Then as he just makes his way around the final couple of the corners now, then we go. As here is De Rosa, who's getting held up, in fact, by one of the Williamses, really. And so that's that, really, as De Rosa now makes his way towards the left-right chicane. He'll go as he just overtakes. I think that was an Aston there. He just overtook Kupok now, then just coming around the long, swooping right-hander now. Then he will go before he makes his way towards the bus stop chicane. Of course, let's not forget as well that whilst we're here at Abu Dhabi as well, we will, of course, have the end-of-season test on Saturday here at Abu Dhabi as well. And I'm going to presume that Yuri is going to reveal the schedule, the driver schedule, in the same way as he did last season with the end-of-season test, which is reveal it on Discord, really. I presume that's going to be the case, Yuri. Okay, that's been clarified there by Yuri. The end-of-season test schedule for the end-of-season test here at Abu Dhabi on Saturday will be revealed tomorrow evening, of course, so after the top class race, of course. And of course, that's when, of course, DTM sign-ups close tomorrow as well. That will close a few minutes after the top class finale, so if you haven't signed up for DTM yet, you need to be quick. And Formula E and World Champ Car closes this Saturday at 10 p.m. BST, a few hours after the end of season test. So be quick if you haven't signed up for any of those free series just yet. Of course, Formula E and World Champ Car are joint sign-up, of course, in case you are if you're still not aware about that one, really. So that's that then. So just over 1.5 minutes to go now then in this session, and I'll be curious to know what time the end of season test is actually on the Saturday. I guess Yuri will reveal that at some point. But anyway, as Perrin, and I think that was just overtaking Griffiths there, going into the bus stop chicane there. Of course, we still have the old version of Abu Dhabi. A newer version of Abu Dhabi is still not available to us yet on Grand Prix 4. So yeah, that's that really, and that's that. As we come down towards the back straight, really, as he's 1.9 seconds down as a result of that. Kupok just going around the first corner, still currently in 9th place. As we've got under a minute left, and I think pretty soon we'll be riding on board with the drivers in just a little bit towards the end of the session, because we've only got a few seconds left in this session. Griffiths is actually coming back into the pit, so that's his session done with. It looks like Federi's getting some eyes. All back across the line, no improvement for him in the Haas as he makes his way into the first corner now then on the racetrack, as we've still got a few seconds left, and for some reason we're still sticking on board with Zorbach. Ticelli doesn't improve that time by. Gal will get... okay, sorry. Gal is... yeah, I'm going to say, I just read what Evan just said there. He basically just repeated what he just said there. Yeah,
Thanks,
he
Evan.
did there. So 20 seconds left of the session. Patel just coming around the final corner with his special helmet to basically say goodbye to Lamborghini in his own way of doing things. So anyway, as Patel crosses the line, no improvement for him. 10 seconds left. 9, 8, 7, and now we have 6, and now 5, 4, 3, and then we have 2, 1, and 0, and the checkered flag is out, and Roke just was able to get a lap in there, so Roke is the last one to cross the line. Car doesn't improve, he stays in 3rd position. Franco Lopez, the current championship leader, is just coming around the final couple of corners now, then we will go. And now heading his way into the final turn and onto the pit straight now then we will go as Lopez making his way onto the pit straight and across the line he goes and no improving and he stays in second position. Most of the cars are getting towed back into the garage there. Roman Quagg in the Renault across the line. He will go and he doesn't improve. He stays in 8th position. Joseph Wallow's just getting some mileage in the McLaren now then. He's not on a lap as a result and he's down in 20th place. 2.5 seconds off of Evan Burns' Red Bull there. We look at Barges Kloss now then, who did come back into the pits to get a new front wing after that collision with Chris Chatfield at the third chicane on the racetrack. Kloss across the line doesn't improve and stays in 11th position. Loa Chung, Kloss's future teammate, crosses the line and stays in 6th position. Nicholas Zorbach up on his personal best, the Haas reserve driver, crosses the line now then and he goes up into 11th place, gets in front of Kloss surprisingly there. Videri just getting some mileage in the Aston Martin there. Miklos Gau just coming on the triple right-hander. Of course, let's not forget Roke is the last one to cross the line, of course, but we now ride on board with Gal in the special liveried Alpha Tauris. He's just making his way through the hotel section of the racetrack now then we go as he flicks the car in through that left-hander and now making his way into the final couple of the corners. We will go through the penultimate turn and now into the final corner and onto the pit straight now then will come Miklos Gau in the Alpha Tauri now then we go. The Hungarian driver is now going to cross the line. Gal across the line he goes and no improvement for him as Patel is up on his personal best in the Lamborghini, currently in 10th position. He now crosses the line in the Lamborghini and he improves but stays in 10th place. Perinen just coming around the final corner now then he goes. Somewhere around the track is George Roke, of course, as Perinen now then across the line he goes in the Renault now then and he does not improve. Martin's across the line, no improving. I think the next one is Roke if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think Roke's just crossed the line in fact because he was in front of Carr. Yes, he has. So that's the session done with Burn at the top, Lopez in second and Carr in third position. So again, looking pretty close between Red Bull and Mercedes at the moment.
And I think that we will see actually once again, of course, a fight for pole between these two teams, which of course we didn't mention, but we did it. They are very close for the team's title. They're 5 points. They're separated by 5 points. So yeah, the starting position will be crucial this week for both teams.
Yes, indeed.
So,
and obviously the gap being 5 points between the pair of them. So we're just going to take a brief pause. We'll obviously end the stream, of course, and then come up with a fresh stream for the qualifying session, of course. But in the meantime, I've been JW97. He's been Franco Gamba, and we'll see you in just a little bit for the qualifying session. See you in a bit.